Rally round the West Indies. Never say never. Way down under, a warrior falls. Michael Holden went down in the heat of the battle. Michael should have left long time. I heard an angry brother shout, Caribbean man, that is the root of our trouble. In these tiny theaters of conflict and confusion, better known as the eyes of the West Indies. We already know who brought us here and who created this confusion. So I'm begging my people, please, tell them. Rally from the West Indies, one forever. Rally from the West Indies. Never say never. Pretty soon the runs are going to flow again like bringing so much joy to each and every son. So we're gonna rise again like a raging. As the sun shines, you know we can take it. But we got the what? Tell them, rally from the West Indies. Forever, yeah. Rally from the West Indies. Now and forevermore.
Chores look different with Cox multi-gig speeds.
Gotta look good, man. Gotta look good for David.
Super excited. I'm about to meet David Rudder, the man who sang Rally Round the West Indies. If you don't know who he is, Rally Round the West Indies. He's downstairs. I'm meeting him for the first time. Super excited. How are you doing, sir? My pleasure, man. My absolute pleasure. You know how much joy that song brings to the Caribbean people? It's a pleasure to meet you, man. It's a pleasure. And every time that anthem is the West Indies anthem. Every time it goes out and it plays, it means so much to us. So personally, for me, as a fan now and now as a coach, we truly appreciate that massive, significant contribution to music that you brought to the West Indies and its people. You know, so it's a pleasure to be here, man. This song, it always brings goosebumps, man. Yeah, so to have it now at the World Cup, a new present, because I don't think we've had it. I've not experienced having new presents while the song is being played. So that would be massive for the boys. You know, hopefully tomorrow the guys could meet you as well in the first game. I would love to see that.
Bringing so much joy to each and every son. We gonna rise again.
Yeah. No, that's the legend himself, man. Rally round the West Indies. Oh God! Listen, I want cricket to play tomorrow. You have the legend there himself. Have to sing it. I'll be back up. Yeah. No, I can't butcher the song with the man right there. I just asked him that downstairs. Yeah.
That's genius.
Yeah.
When we lose, we hear all the quarrel and all the bad talking and bad mouthing and Michael Holden fell and got injured in Australia. And Michael should have resigned a long time, because when we're going to talk somebody else take a chance, because we lost. So I said, something. This is our problem. We just today we for you, tomorrow we against you. And it's a kind of funny kind of love. So I said, let me write a song about where we came from, how we arrived here, what we're doing beyond the boundary, because when we win, it's more than just making a sporting statement, political, social, and otherwise. So that was the vibe.
Well, Mr. Rudder, you've been in our hearts for a long time, way before I was born. And this is a hero's moment for me, meeting you for the first time. So on behalf of the West Indies cricket team, I would love to present you this World Cup shirt.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Rally around the West Indies. I know you've been rallying for a long time.
Now and forever.
That's right. Now and forever. That's right. Yeah, so the legendary David Rudder in the flesh. I hope you sing the anthem for us tomorrow. Who's watching? Make sure he sings the anthem.
No problem.
Thank you.
Now they're making restrictions and laws to spoil our beauty.
Yes, man. That look good on you.
Very good.
That look better on you than me.
Come take a job this now.
To make sure that they pay, soon we must take a sign or be lost in the rubble in a divided world that don't need islands no more. Are we doomed forever to be at somebody's mercy? Little keys can open up mighty doors.
Everybody hand raise. Everybody give praise. Rally. Rally round the West Indies. Now and forevermore. Understand up.
Then we gonna rise again like a raging fire.
Good evening and welcome to today's edition of West Indies Cricket 101. When I die and I come back again, I want to be a West Indian. I don't want to be anything else. I want to be a West Indian. Identity, that which you identify with. Win or lose, I still want to be a West Indian because of David Rudder, because of all those inside the boundary and beyond the boundary. They've created something for us. And to see the legend himself, David Michael Rudder, with the West Indies coach, it is one of the moments that I will remember for the rest of my life. And even when I go back to the ancestors, one of the things that I don't identify with the present cricketers, not so much that they lose. In sports, you lose and win, as with anything in life. You win sometimes, you lose sometimes. But when I hear our cricketers, our captains, talk about our fans, we West Indians are not their fans. We are not their fans. Leave that for American sport and wherever else. As Darren Sammy said, the West Indian people, that's what we are. We are the West Indian people. And when they're out there, they're not playing for us as fans. They're playing for us as a people. When Sammy was about to be given the captaincy. Like everybody else, I didn't think that he even merited a place in the team in terms of skill and all of that. But he was one of the few cricketers who talked about the West Indian people, and he had my vote. Biased as it was, because of that. Talked about the West Indian people. Good evening, welcome to today's edition of Politics 101. Just my little 2 cents there, because I'm very emotional when it comes to my identity. And as I said, you know, when I'm in Guyana, nobody asks me if I'm a Guyanese. Say, by where you come from? I come from Buxton. When I fly out from Cherry Jagan and I'm in transit in Trinidad, by where you come from? I come from Guyana. I'm a Guyanese then. And when I land in Miami or JFK, by where you come from? I'm from the West Indies. And when I take that plane and I land in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, I'm a black man. In the space of maybe 12, 15 hours, I changed my identity about 4 times, and I love all of them. I love being Buxtonian. I love being Guyanese. I especially love being West Indian. And of course, I love being a black man. Some people say, well, you know, David Hines is just a black man. Probably because that's the cause that I fight in Guyana. But I love, above and beyond anything else, being a West Indian. There was West Indies before Guyana. And there was Guyana before Buxton. I have to wrap myself up on that. Rally round the West Indies, David Michael Rudder out of Trinidad and Tobago, the man who gave us the West Indian anthem. I remember as a small boy growing up in Buxton and hear the big men singing the Ethiopian national anthem. Ethiopia, the land of our birth, the land where our forefathers were born. And those big men, you know, they'll be singing the Ethiopian national anthem. And some of them will be singing the African-American Black national anthem. And then came our Guyanese national anthem. And David Rudder gave us the West Indian national anthem. As you would notice there, he's now suffering from the early stages of Parkinson. That's part of life. But he's a legend. He's as important as Sobers, as Kanai, as Worrell, as Lara, as Butcher and Solomon, and Kalicharan and Rowe, you name them. David Rudder, is as important. Them. All right, let's go. I think I have my brothers who are ready backstage. And as I always say, I am just a West Indian looking in. But them boys know the thing. One come from the seed, and one was the seed itself. I'm talking about my brothers, Basil Butcher, young Basil Butcher. And
good evening, Dr. Hines. Good evening, Vincent, and good evening to your viewers.
Hey, good evening, guys. Good evening, Dr. Hines, Basil, and our Sunday listeners.
Brothers, are you as emotional as I am watching that clip there just now? Started with you, Butch, since Tuesday.
Not anymore. No, I don't have those. I don't have that kind of emotion for West Indies cricket, that raw emotion anymore. We've been losing so long, I've had to, for my well-being, to temper that emotion.
But in terms of seeing David Rudder being at least recognized by this generation of cricketers, which don't always recognize the history of the game.
Well, that's good. That's great. That is great for the generation to recognize David Rudder. I mean, I was fortunate once being in Antigua. He was on the premises and he gave us a mini concert. I mean, that is a day I will never forget. I mean, the Shell Oil stand, I started to get scared if it was gonna fall down when everybody started rocking, because we had a rain break. Rain came down, stopped play. And you know my man Chickies, the DJ, is being the Shell Oil stand. And Rudder came in the stand and Chickies gave him the mic.
Right.
And the rest is history, I mean, the place was pandemonium, that was one of my great memories of, at least that's the only time I've been in the presence of David Rudder. The anthem, it's interesting you talk about the anthem, but I've heard players say things such as they don't get the same thing that they would get if it was their country's national anthem. Because that most way you could say that umbilical cord connection to the land in which you're singing the national anthem is a different, because I don't think we have nurtured that Caribbean or West Indian consciousness. It has dissipated amongst our young people.
Dissipated. I thought when I heard you say we have not nurtured it, because my generation.
Oh yes, I mean that's why
it's very West Indian.
No, that's why a guy like Viv Richards, when Viv Richards, for using him as an example, and he is one of the more extreme, if you will, to use that term in a positive way, speak with the raw emotion of whenever he walked out to play for the West Indies, what it meant to him, so when people hear Viv, they translate that to this generation, saying that this generation has no pride and etc. But I always would push back and say Viv comes from a generation that grew up in colonialism. Viv, these guys don't understand that context. They've only seen people that look like them running the place, although many times not the best way, and not seeing that your identity always being suppressed. And so when you were able to come out of that, you felt it was a duty the generation where Viv and them would come from. I mean, Vincent come from that same generation. They would understand. They have a different feeling about representing the West Indies, unlike these guys today. It's not. I don't think it's a lack of pride. I just think the environment in which you were nurtured.
Dr. Adams, David Rudder being heralded there by the younger generation, and that sense of West Indianhood. Your thoughts?
Well, I think that was a great gesture, and it was nice to see. Sammy, of course, that I don't know if that was Sammy's initiative or if it was just a West Indies thought, because I think it's that song really inspires folks and really up the enthusiasm of the people. I was about to say fans of the people. But it's interesting though, and I'm sure that Basil could relate to this here from his father. You see, when you're playing, you talk about the fans are emotional, but let me tell you something, you've got double pressure, because when you're there, you're as if you're in a war. You want to win, but it's not about you so much. It's about, what would be the reaction if you fail? That's the biggest pressure, especially if you're under the gun. So you want to succeed so badly. But you know, the thing is, when you're done playing those Dr. Hines, and I'm sure that Basil would recognize that from his dad, you know, you don't, it's not the same thing anymore. You tend to be more involved in analyzing the game from a technical standpoint. As a matter of fact, you even admire some of the players on the other teams after you're done.
Yes.
You know, whereas when you're playing, you know, you don't even want to think about, you know, if there's a good player on the other team, you know, you think how the hell you're gonna beat him. But when you're done, you look at everything more objectively as the game, as you know, as understanding the game and looking at the technical aspect, and then enjoy that part of it. Whether, of course, you still like the West Indies team, but if another team is doing good, you appreciate it and you recognize it. And yeah, but it's a different feeling when you're in the arena, and when when your days out in the arena is gone. But when you're in the arena, if you think that the fans are emotional here, I mean, I have done it. You should see big men cry in the dressing room, Dr. Hines. Cry. My very last game when I was captain of DCC, playing for DCC against Police in the semifinals at the Ivlery, before I left to come to the United States, we bowled out Police for 115, and we were 100 for 3. Myself and Keith Aaron batting. Keith Aaron got run out, and I was so mad because he ran himself out. He would never agree with me. But anyway, the next over, I was so mad that I gave away my hand on 47. Jeffrey bowled, and I dumped down the wicket to hit Jeffrey out. I got out. Do you know that we could make the 115 at 115? And the DCC had a lineup. We had myself, Monster, which is Andrew Light, Mark Harper, Bill White. You know, we had a Keith Aaron, we had a low Darjun, we had an experienced loaded team, and 100 for 3 and couldn't make 115. And you talk about big men cry in that dressing room. Even in the West Indies team, players cry. It's a different, I mean, because you've got that weight on your shoulder. It's not only about yourself, but it's when you lose, it's bad.
And I know Basil says it's not pride, and I understand where you're coming from, Basil. It's not the same pride, because people always have pride, all right? But it's a different kind of pride, and I'm glad you talk about the decolonization period. Richard is born in 1952, all right? Trinidad and Jamaica got their independence in 1962. So he's spanning the decolonization period and the early nationalist period. What a time to be alive and to be representing the West Indies, because you're part of the throwing out of colonialism and trying to build this new society, all right? And if you are that vivid, it's no accident that that generation did what it did.
Yeah.
All right? The Sobers generation,
they put us on the map.
Yes, because they were kicking colonialism out. 1950, you know, at Lord's, those two pals of mine, Ramadin and Valentine, beating England for the first time in England at Lord's, and so on. And interestingly, reggae music is emerging in 1950. Interestingly, most of the Caribbean countries are getting their first elections as self-government. So that period of the late 40s and early 50s is an interesting period in West Indian history that makes a Gary Sobers. All right? Because now we are going to show the world that when the rules are the same, right,
we can compete.
We can beat anybody. And Sobers emerges out of that. And as CLR James said, it's not only that Sobers emerges out of that, but Sobers had the capacity. He had the capacity to absorb the energies from beyond the boundary. All right? So when I hear Vincent Adams says that men cry when DCC loses to police. No, we will say, but it's just a club game.
Nah, it ain't.
It's a pride. It's a particular pride that is driving that. All right. Now, if you listen to Rudder, he says Holden gets injured. And men say Holden should have left a long time. And he said that is the origin of that song. Because what is this West Indian thing? When we are doing well, these men are our gods. And as you said just now, they lose too long, right? I get the emotion no more. And now that they're losing, we think. And so that song is more than just a cricket song. It's teasing out the West Indian dilemma, right? That because we come out of that plantation, we ain't going back there. And every time we win, we are saying we ain't going back there. And when we lose, it looks like it's there we going back by.
Right.
So, and I don't think we have worked through that dilemma yet, certainly not in our politics, as you say, Basil, right? We are still working through that dilemma. I mean, 30 odd years later, here's Basil Butcher saying, but I don't get the same emotion, right? But I bet you tomorrow, when them boys put on them whites, Basil Butcher is the first man.
Look, Dr. Hines, when we won the World Cup in 2016, I was on a high for a week.
And that's what David Rudder is teasing out in that song.
Just that I don't go, the real, when we used, when we was the thing, and when we lose a match, it's like if the world end, nah, I don't do that no more.
yeah, and that's all of us go through that.
Yeah.
And I see our women who are now the ones who are flocking the grounds, the ones who are analyzing the game. I see they go through those emotions all the time. Because I think the women have, whereas we the men were following the game in a frontal way when we were winning, the women are now frontally following the game when we are losing and sometimes winning. And you can see them going through that emotions. That's why I say I love to be a West Indian, because I think cricket brings out everything that brings us together, but everything that agonizes us. Cricket brings it out, right? I have never heard people get more costs. Maybe politicians are the ones that probably get more costs than cricket.
I think so. I think cricketers get more.
You think cricketers get more costs?
Here,
I think so.
hey, Dr. Hines, let me tell you, and Basil knows about this. Every country, Guyana, through the West Indies, there is a group of men that stands outside, they right at the gate where all the cricketers got to pass. In Guyana, there's some famous names like Margon and Waterloo. And there, that might would cost you from morning until night. So you worry, you see when the game over, you stay as far as possible in the ground if you do bad because you want to pass. But them men is analyzed and know everything. And every country, I remember when I was in Washington, which means it's a long time after that I finished playing cricket. And this guy, King, was the Barbados ambassador to the USC, and I played youth cricket together. So we were very good friends. So I went home to Barbados. The English team was down in Barbados at the time.
Is it Maurice King?
It might have been but no, this boy was what's his first name? Scotty King.
I know the King was ambassador. Now you're talking about it like he played cricket. Yes, I know him. I interviewed him there in Washington.
Right, he played in the first youth series in 1966.
Yeah.
So, but
I'm trying to remember what King. But anyhow, go ahead with the story.
You talk about a guy with a photographic memory. That guy, he remember every score, how everybody got out since 1966. But anyway, he show up to the game, the test match. And when we were walking in, the same group of men that we got in Ghana got the same group in Barbados. So them guys know King. He said, y'all remember this boy? So everybody looking at me. And one man remember me. You know what the man said? The man said, it's only last week we've been arguing about who plays the best cover drive and who plays the best hook at Kensington over throughout the entire history. And we arrive at the conclusion that you play the best flick against Mosley. And we might as well always talk about that flick. It was the second ball of the day. And I flicked Mosley one bump for 4. Just reflexes. I mean, it was a great, great shot. But those guys remember that flick. But I say that to just those guys. They know every single. Bassett can tell you too. With the father, when Bassett got a story when he father they got back runs in the cold.
Yeah. The same guy, Vincent talking about Morgan and Waterloo holding court in front of the main gate. This is 1964 that he tells me, right? So he taking out the bag on the car, Waterloo holding court. Well, Morgan was was Morgan by. So Morgan got the bag and Morgan said, clear the way, 100 quarters coming through. And so when Waterloo see, take off his cap, he says, and stop holding corners, just skip or shake your hand. You get 110 quarters before my boy. He boy was canine, right? And the same Waterloo, Ivor Mendoza telling me a story. He batted in a trial match in 1960. The next tours to Australia later that year. And Waterloo, right by Flagstaff, the lower deck, that's where Waterloo them used to be. And Waterloo screamed, Mendoza, you will see Australia. And Mendoza see batting. And Waterloo scream again, say, Mendoza, you will only see Australia on a map. Them guys, them guys really had a great understanding of the game. Because I didn't know who the Waterloo guy was. But I remember as a little boy, one day waiting for the albino lady after the day's play. And I see this big crowd in front of, right at the corner, Rob and New Garden by UF building there. Remember they had a stump, like a lantern post stump that they cut down. So right there, man, a big crowd. So I run up to the crowd and I peeping in, and this slim, dark-skinned guy holding court. And these guys talking about cricket history. From that day on, every time day's play done, as a youngster, I used to run and stand there and listen to these guys talk. It's still when I come to the United States and I hear them old timers who played cricket back in the days talking, and they call the guy Waterloo, and they describe. They say, wait, that's the man I used to start up and listen to. I don't know what was his name, But I mean, young people today, they ain't got nothing they ain't got those things anymore in the cricket thing anymore, like the past. Is a lot of those things that are no longer part of West Indies cricket culture that young people today don't understand what they're really representing because of all those different aspects of our cricket that have gone by the wayside. You remember the guy in Barbados, King Dial? Used to change his suit at every break.
Yeah.
Change his suit every break.
Every break, he lived near Kensington, he go home and he come back with a new suit. And he never back in West Indies. He used to be back in the English. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I mean, we don't have those characters no more in West Indies cricket. And that is probably could be one because we have been losing for so long. Or many other reasons. Society has changed and all of those different things,
But it adds significantly to the passion and excitement.
Yes, exactly.
And even in those days, even when we lose, even if we lose, people would still rally. But now I think the game has become so with money involved. So people with that money, that's what people are looking at. They're relating it. Well, you're making a whole bunch of money now. Whereas in those days, nobody ever think anything about money.
No.
Because when you play for your country, it's that pride again that you're playing for people. So it's but Dr. Hines, in terms of your historical perspective and emergence of Gary Sobers, and that is why, and Basil know where I'm going to go with it, because there's a man before Gary Sobers that played under those disadvantaged situation, Sir George Headley.
Correct.
That's
Master
Yeah,
George.
he's
Master
got to
George.
be, in my opinion, the biggest hero, cricket hero of the of in our time. For that man to make that kind of runs, especially with the umpiring and wet wicket, and in those colonial days, going way back in them days, that's just totally incredible. That
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I
clearly,
always say whenever we have this argument about the all-time West Indies cricket team, the first name on the list is George Headley.
George
Then you
Headley.
pick the other 10. Pick the
Yeah,
other 10.
yeah.
You know,
Clearly, Larry Constantine and George Headley are our first cricket superstars.
Yes.
Yes, clearly. Before the war,
Headley
Headley and Constantine.
Constantine
So
behind Headley, but in terms of a player, Headley was the Colossus. I mean, where you had the arguments where the black folks said Bradman was the black Headley, and the white people calling Headley the black Bradman. Those are that show the type of influence that Headley had in the black world, and colonialism, as you're saying. Here was Headley, a brilliant cricket mind, but he had to be under white men who were way less capable as leaders, and he had to play under them. All of those things. He had to stuff in the back pocket and go out there and be the Lone Ranger almost for the West Indies over that period, that decade of the 30s. It's a shame that war came along and in the prime of his career, because we will be talking about George Headley even more had he been able to play during that period where the war,
39 and 45 to 47.
Because almost 10 years. It's 10
Yes,
years.
we played our last match in 39.
Yes,
and our first match after the war in 47. 46, 47. So it's almost a decade.
Yes.
And I'm glad you mentioned the 1930s. Because Headley is ruling the roost in the 1930s. And the 1930s is a very significant decade in modern West Indian history. Because the 1930s, from the Bahamas in the north right down to Guyana in the south, there were strikes right through. And that, it was as a result of those uprisings in the 1930s that the British sent the Waddington Commission down to the West Indies to find out, well, why these people are behaving so badly. And of course, the Commission said, because they want to be free.
I remember when I was...
And it's out of the 1930s that came our political parties and, the Manleys and the, Dragons and all of them. Critchlow and Marichaud,
Butler, because I did a class in Caribbean politics in college, and we studied that period with the trade union movement that came about in the region, which coincided with West Indies now formulating as a test team.
And so Headley's rise is connected with the 1930s, just as the Weeks, Worrell, Walcott, later Sobers are connected.
The anti-colonial movement was because look, and I got the opportunity, a guy who played with Headley in the last series in England, 39, guy named Ken Weeks, Ken Bam Bam Weeks, lived in New York, and I was fortunate to, Petrie said, Petrie's friend, a Jamaican guy, had this shop, and a lot of older Jamaican men it was the lineman spot for them. And this guy was a big cricket guy. And Ken Bam Bam Weeks used to come to the store. And I remember one day, the store was not far from where I lived in Park, so it was in Prospect Heights. And I used to go by after I got to meet the guy, because I was in the neighborhood. And I went in there one day, and so he introduced me. And I remember one Jamaican old time said, jump back, name and nature. God, they used to call the old boy in Jamaica, name and nature, butcher, beef butcher.
Okay.
So they call him name and nature.
Yeah.
So, shortly thereafter, this old timer coming with a walking stick, fair skinned guy, and he introduced me, and I said, Ken Bam Bam Weeks. And then we started talking. And one day he and the old boy sat down and a guy did a video with the two of them speaking about the different eras in which they played. What was the environment? It was, it was a Jamaican doctor. I wish I could find that guy with a video, because that's living history. Because to hear the contrast, because for example, he said on that tour to England in 1939, he said, well, firstly, the white players and the black players did not socialize. And he said, George Eddy, who was a pro playing in the leagues at the time, he had disposable income. He would take out the black players for dinner and so on. Because Ken Bam Bam Weeks said, Mr. Weeks said, wherever little stipend he get, he had to send back to Jamaica for his wife to look after the family in Jamaica. So he really had disposable. And he said he was not supposed to play the last test at Surrey. The test he made 100. But Ivan Barrow said he don't feel like playing cricket. He's going to play the dogs, you know, going greyhound racing, you know. And as a result of Barrow not playing, he gets put into the team and makes a blistering 100. I think it's 139 or something like that he made, right? And he said, he was telling us, you know, to take the ship back to Jamaica. And he and Leslie Hilton, the guy that got hung for murdering his wife, it was the two of them on the ship. And he said when they got to the port, nobody was there to meet them. The two of them had to jump in a taxi to go home. Now you contrast that and you move along. So you saw how things changed. You know, I mean, so when you get to understand the environment these guys were in to perform, you've got to give them even more credit. And also to sit on a boat for weeks, you know, because I know the Obai told me his first tour, they took the boat from Trinidad to Southampton to England, and then from there they fly a plane that stop in to India, right? And that I remember telling me that was the first time he saw Fred Wills and Rex McKay, because they were both studying in England, and you know Lance Gibbs is their boy, Queenstown boy. So they came to meet the boat there at Southampton. Those are a lot of things that used to happen to show how, you know, these things don't happen no more. I mean, students that, you know the West Indies team coming in, and them guys gone, you know, and Southampton is at the southern part of England, so they probably had to jump on a train to travel to go down there to meet up the boy Lance when the boat came in and so on, you know. You know, so you know, you tell these youngsters today about them things. That guys can't follow me. I got a picture my father took when he was coming back from England in '62. He came back on a boat. He didn't come on a plane back from England. This picture of him on a boat sailing from England back to the Caribbean to Trinidad, and then he catch a plane and come to Guyana. Now you tell a youngster today, they may complain about jumping on a ferry from Dominica or wherever in the car. You remember the other day with Bangladesh? Jumping on a boat. And the West Indies team had to be on a boat, not much as Australia, on a boat from Australia to England. They're on a boat for a month or something like that, you know, to go play cricket and still perform at a high level. You know, this is why it's important our young people need to understand these things, to understand what the people, the sacrifices, those before them had to go through, that they are living the lovely life and not understanding on whose shoulders they stand.
That's an interesting, you know, that's a nice story, Basil. But you wonder how the mice used to practice in that month, but you know.
Yeah, you know, I have seen things, Bradman and them on the deck of the boat, playing cricket, practicing on the deck of the boat. You know, because you know the deck pretty decent, doing throwdowns, if you will, practicing over that month on the boat.
Dr. Adams, I want to take you back to a passing comment you made. Well, it wasn't passing. And you listed the DCC lineup.
I got my DCC shirt on. I got this shirt now 23 years almost. Mother Griffith made some very good T-shirts.
And that was almost like a national lineup.
Hey,
And then
Basil.
you went across to GCC and you looked at their lineup. And when you go to Maltino's and looked at their lineup, and even Police, because Police had Cameron, the same
Police had a
Jeffrey.
great lineup. Police had a great lineup.
Police had a lot of national players.
So, and a lot, take somebody like Bill White. He was quite in his 30s before he get a knock for Guyana.
Mhm.
Right? I mean, talk to us about the glut of cricketers that were produced at that level, at what we call the club level. I mean, it's just simply amazing at the quality of cricketers that were produced at the club level that couldn't get a look in the Guyana team. Talk to us.
Here, you know, it's totally different. No, I remember when, even after I had played in youth cricket for Guyana, I still couldn't make the Mackenzie team. I was 12th man, but I was glad to be a 12th man. You making joke when you see a name up there, you glad to be 12th man as a little boy. Nowadays, you tell a youngster that he's 12th man. Are you making joke? And the other thing, you see, when you shop for Case Cup, everybody you shop already, it's like, well, that used to be our test match. But them grounds at them times, Bassett can tell you, them grounds used to be like a billiard table, well prepared. You know, nowadays when I see grass and all kind of thing, you know, it's something that you look forward to that weekend. Even though you travel down from Lynn all night, you'll sleep for the rest of the night because you can't wait to get up and go to the cricket. But in terms of talent, I'm telling you, you know, there was you guys remember we could keep it Glasgow.
Yes.
Then nobody used to make more Case Cup runs than Glasgow.
Yeah, he made a lot of runs.
Every weekend, everybody making 100. Vincent Mears, Glasgow. You know, even they came a little bit before me, but I still played with them. But even in my time with myself and then I've got the other opening batsman that I got to deal with, you know, Bechan and Etwaru, Munilal, Sunarain, and you know, and then of course you got to work when Fedo come home, when they come home, you know, so you got to dig up. There's only one place, then you got to be digging up, and then you got all them batsmen. You talk about the lineup of Police. You got McCray, Harper, Neblit, Cameron, the fast bowler, Joashin. That same Glasgow. Every team had a core set of people that were national players. Basically, if you're not a national player, you're close. GSC, I remember one time, Kraft, Murray, Stewart, Cornelius, you know, and then you had some other batsmen because they were in the East Coast team. That is guy named Hyman. How used to runs almost 100 almost every week. So the competition, but it used to be like a test match when we go there. Nowadays, them guys is just going, you know, because that's not what's catching. Everybody's looking for, you know, for themselves to start with, because they're looking for the next, what do I need to do to get called up for some T20, thing we could go make some money in some T20 tournament. But I'm telling you, those days used to be excited, Dr. Hines. You know, when I look back at them days, it used to be, you talk about Sears. And the other thing about it, it was just normal. Every afternoon after the game, whoever is hosting, both teams end up in the dressing room, and you're left in there till maybe 9-10 o'clock. If you got to play the next day, if it's a Saturday night, you leave a little bit early. But both teams are there, and you sit down as a little boy and you listen to the men exchanging. You know, you sit down with Lance Gibbs and Basil Butcher, and then boys they don't even be talking about what happened on their tour when they go. But you sit down and you sucking in everything as a youngster, and you know you sit down and you're quiet. you're talking back to them, man, and them. They used to worship them. But I guess it's a different situation over here. All the young players now believe that, that I ain't got time for listen to them old timers. What do you know? There's a modern game, and that's the kind of attitude you got.
Yeah.
But it was different in them days, Dr. Hines.
Of course. I was a little boy, and the newspapers used to sell at the train station. I live what you call Bottom Station. And Sunday morning, you gone for the papers. I remember Argosy used to get a lot of good local coverage. Pick up the Argosy, you come to the back page to look for Case Cup scores. Right?
Yeah.
Because you look for Case Cup scores before you go for the international cricket.
Yeah.
You see, because and that's why I'm saying when I heard you call those names there, I said, yes, I remember. when Martinos and GCC and police and DCC, them is men, and like I said, people like William White is still later on he get a knock.
Yeah.
So really, I think part of our cricket problem is that we're not intentional.
Yeah,
we're not intentional.
I agree with you, Dr. Hines, because I think we took things for granted. That's what happened, and you can't take anything for granted. And taking things for granted, and as the society changed, more distractions, because folks probably behave as such with it, taking it for granted, because there was nothing else but cricket. Cricket was king. There was no challenging for people's attention than cricket. So maybe some of these guys did not have the foresight to understand things changing, and you have to be deliberate and intentional in what you're doing. And because they weren't, it slipped away. I mean, look, they got the current first class season going on. I got a friend in Jamaica. She is a big cricket fan. How I met her is at a cricket match in Antigua. She and her friends travel from Jamaica to Antigua to see cricket, West Indies. So I teasingly call she because I watching Jamaica playing somebody it was when Jamaica playing Guyana at Sabina Park. So I tease she. I said, what happened? You in there at Sabina Park? Hey, what you talk about? I said, Guyana playing Jamaica, Sabina. She had me on over there. Now, this is somebody who was a cricket fan. So, the casual person don't even know. So sometimes when we see nobody at those first class games, it's because there is no marketing, advertising to put out the word that there's a cricket match going on to the general public and really put it out there, So, and all of those things, because we used to, cricket again was the king. The marketing to get people to come and see cricket didn't have to be. You just announce cricket match playing, and the droves show up at the ground. Those days are over from a long time. So you gotta be very deliberate. And young people got a lot of distractions today, and we all see how the T20, which is an event. I think one of the things, as we all live here in the United States, we watch at the sports. What they have done is to create, going to a sports thing is like going to a concert. It's an event, right?
Yes.
And that is part of the thing. So in these grounds, you might have to make things fan friendly that, a person might not be looking at the game, especially a test match, right? All the things that the person could go do in the ground that is entertaining to them, because, at times test cricket could get boring, you want to fall asleep and those kinds of things. From a test cricket perspective, I think those are some of the things they need to do when they're having test cricket. So, even baseball, you go to Yankee Stadium, the new Yankee Stadium got a lot of other things that you could do. Because, there are a lot of times baseball could be very boring, right? But the people realize that we got to create stadiums that when people come there, it's an event they're going to. And we still lagging behind in that when it comes to cricket, I think.
But
Go ahead, Doc.
I think this area is important, and we've been hitting on this for almost every session that we've had. But I always have to go back to this pride thing. And if you remember, I always say, you go back to those same Case Cup days, Dr. Hines, every team played for a community.
Correct.
DCC were people you played for, were the people who grew up around DCC. Martinos were the people who grew up around Martinos. Even Linden or Mackenzie, is Mackenzie people. Then you had Cosmos. Cosmos was a Chinese team.
Yes.
You had Everest.
Indian.
It was an all-Indian team, basically. Then you have GCC.
The Portuguese and white people.
That's right, Portuguese and white people. GSC was more of an East Coast team.
The mixed people,
right? Reds Moria. It was but that's so. What you do is just, you whether you were conscious of it or not, but that's what you played for, it because you played. And then, of course, afterwards you started police. You played for that uniform. When you're police, you played for that uniform. So what started happening, it was after I left, because we did not have anybody. Because after I left, we had a few East Coast players. The thing is, they would come down from the East Coast in the morning and go back home in the afternoon. So they're not even hanging out in the pavilion after cricket, what we normally do. And the other teams were doing the same exact thing. So it was that's not how it used to be during my time. You played for that community. And that is why I'm a strong believer, because I believe it even starts from school cricket. Then you start from school cricket, that pride in playing for your school.
Yes.
I think that's where you start building that pride.
Yes.
And you look, I forgot even East Bank. East Bank had a Case Cup team.
Yes.
Everybody who played for that community, it made a big difference. You talk about strengthening a team, because everybody, you're playing for a purpose. So you don't look at yourself, I'm playing for myself. Hell, you know what? We on that field, we representing East Bank.
Yeah.
We represent.
I remember Clark St. John name synonymous with East Bank.
What Vincent's saying, I just want to add this quickly. That's what missing in our cricket, representing something when you played. Right. No, to me, these guys see a club now is like a team.
That's right.
Like a club.
It is
representing. So because that's where that pride of representing something got nurtured, and it got stronger as you went up the ladder.
That's right.
And
but still, even look where we are today. Today you playing on a team, 2 players on a Ghana team, Hetmeyer and Rutherford or some. I playing in the same team. Tomorrow they're gonna play in the IPL. They're playing against one another.
Yes.
Or a fast bowler playing. You and a fast bowler playing in the same team tomorrow, y'all.
Yeah.
So you're sharing information in the dressing room. I know. Because it doesn't matter which team you're playing for. You want them for win.
Yeah.
If I've got a teammate, I play in my national team for Ghana, and I'm gonna play in the IPL against that. To me, I'm a bowler and the bat. I'd be sharing information. So you forgot that bond, and it changes every single day. And that's what I think that's part of the problem in terms of that team spirit that is broken within the West Indies, and probably within other teams too.
Yeah, but I would say this too, because it's not nurtured from the grassroots. It's easy for it to be frayed.
That's right.
Because in the past, guys went away and played league cricket. Cricket. But I used to hear, I hear Desmond Haynes talk about this. They would be on the flight back from a tour, like Australia or something like that. And on the plane, they start talking about, when I see you in the Shell Shield, it's me and you. Right? West Indies, we done with West Indies. The Shell Shield coming up is going to be war when we meet up. Right? I think Shell Shield is first class.
Dr. Vincent Adams.
There's no rivalries no more.
Yeah. Gentlemen, we just saw the 5th round of the
Yeah, the fifth
competition
round.
this year. Let's talk about what we saw there. One thing I want to observe as we go into our discussion. A Barbados, a Barbados Trinidad match finished in 2 days.
Yes, Barbados got humiliated.
With Barbados almost with a test team.
Yes.
Let's start there.
Well, me and Vincent are in a Bajan chat. I just give here, me and them is good. Me and them is good, but I give it to them because I get some of them in there. Just believe Barbados corner the market.
Yep.
Right? And I'm gonna get to the point quickly. We got a good friend in the group who is a Bajan star. I gonna call me Vincent no talk.
I know, yeah.
I told him because he made a statement about the women cricket, how the Bajan women play more cricket than everyone in the region. I said that is nice, but look, Trinidad humiliated y'all 2 times in the women tournament, and Trinidad don't play much. And then a Guyana team, these girls don't get to play no cricket in Guyana. Rare, a 1 game here, 1 game there. And if they had some little semblance of batting awareness in the game against Barbados, they would have won that game. So what does that say about what y'all doing in Barbados? So now reflect that to the men. Barbados has clearly the best structure in the region. Yet still, on a lively Kensington Oval pitch, they get humiliated. Now look how the tables turn. Trinidad was known as the land of the spinners, right?
Yeah.
Barbados, the land of the pacers. Barbados' main bowlers this season have been spinners, and the Barbados pretty much fielded a team of medium pacers, albeit they had McAllister who got some pace. But it's all medium pacers at Kensington, and it's the Trinidadians that destroyed the Barbados. Well, the Barbados batters couldn't cope with the Trinidad seam attack and got humiliated in 2 days. And Barbados was a fully stocked team of players. I mean, Trinidad's had they had their quota of good players too. But Barbados playing in Barbados, I mean, on a wicket that got a little spice and just folded like a cheap tent. It was a wonder to watch. And also,
and Doc, you can come in here.
Yeah.
What your diagnosis for me, please? I mean, I have my theory, yeah, because I think once these men playing all over the world and they come in and you cobble together 11 players and you put them on the park, and basically it's a scrubby team, although the team has a lot of senior players, test players, talented players, but they have not been playing together as a team over a period of time. That's my theory going into an analysis. But I would like to hear you all.
Just to answer that before Vincent come in, you may have something in that because Shea Hope came into the game, and the guy who had been wicket-keeping in the previous 4 games, he went to the bench.
Boucher got to sit down.
Yeah, Boucher had to sit down, right? But Boucher was probably the other change was the seam bowler, the left-hand guy. They probably wanted more pace because the Simmons, all of them was medium paces. Simmons, Holder, Roach, right. all medium paces. They biting in the bowler attack. So they bring in McAllister who got more pace, but it was it was disappointing to watch because I particularly paid close attention to that game because I wanted to see what Shea Hope would look like against seam bowling. I mean, red ball cricket. He hadn't played it in the West Indies in a while. And I know Trinidad had, in my view, the top pace bowler for the West Indies right now is Seals in my books. He is our number 1 fast bowler. And knowing he on that team, and then you got Anderson Phillip who fighting for plays. But the guy who was a big surprise to me was a young Joshua James. To me, he was the best bowler for Trinidad. He was a guy that gave the Barbadian batters the most trouble maybe because of how tall he is and the length he was bowling on that length, the ball was bouncing extra and he was very accurate. He was the guy that really stole the show, if you will. But I saw watch Shai Hobart. I didn't see anything different than what I had seen, why he got dropped. I didn't see anything different, you know, that for all of those who are clamoring that, oh, Shai Hope got to come back into the test team. I didn't see anything that, to me, that would warrant bringing Shai Hope back into the team. That's my opinion.
I mean, I'm one of the persons that clamoring for him to come back in the team. But Doc, let me hear your perspective.
I got a different perspective. I think that could have happened to any of the other team because of that wicket. We have spoiled ourselves with these feather beds. This is the first wicket in a long time that played that way in the West Indies. Even heard, and Basil knows the commentator, your friend Basil, your partner.
Mason
was complaining that Barbados prepared such a wicket in Barbados. Could you believe that?
Yes.
He was complaining about Barbados preparing such a wicket. And I believe that's what it is, and it would have probably happened to any other team.
I agree.
And those quicks caught them on that wicket. We have spoiled ourselves to playing in those feather beds. Everybody come in and make 100 and all kinds of stuff. That is our problem. There's not. It's not. I don't think it's about team or anything. We're so used, especially in Barbados. I remember even going back in my time. I remember the first time I went to Barbados when I had on a Gary Sobers boots. And it has them sharp spike.
Yes.
When I step on that Barbados wicket, it's sliding. It's hard. It's hard. Sabina Park was the same thing.
Yes.
Nowadays, you go imagine when I saw Barbados taking spin and all them kinds of things. But that is what we've come down to now, and that's what we used to. And now they whatever wicket they prepared this time, caught them. And it's the wicket that we've spoiled ourselves to not being used to.
That is an excellent point you make, Vincent. Because that was my thought when I watched how the Barbados batsmen fought. It wasn't the pitch per se, but because they were playing on a pitch that had juice, they were playing a lot of injudicious shots, or two, to Vincent's point, their techniques were exposed.
That's right. I think it's the techniques
got exposed.
Technique that got exposed.
The Trinidadian fast bowlers were bowling, probing.
That's right. That's right.
So the technique got exposed, and I just like Vincent said, I like to see more of these pitches. I remember, was it last year? They had a picture. They play at one of the clubs in Kingston, Kensington Club. They had a pitch. The outfield wasn't the best, but they had a lively. That was the only lively pitch, the grass on the pitch and all kind of thing, right? And I was like, Lord of mercy, can we see more of these type of pitches where seam bowlers would, if they put something in, they can get something out of it. So you get a contest between bat and ball. And in Barbados, the ball was carrying. I see many times the Silver collecting ball at his head and all of that. This is what you want to see. So a batsman can play their shots if they get in, right? Because Vincent could tell you he played in Barbados. Think me Omar used to have time. He said the first session or so, you give to the bowlers in Barbados, right? But he said once the wicket dry out, you can play a shot because you know it's bounce and pace. And any batsman will tell you they want to play the wicket that got bounce and pace because you get value for your shots. You want value for your shots, you know?
Let's go across to the Leewards match. Alzarri picked up some wickets finally. I especially wanted to look at him because I think that he has retrogressed somewhat, and and he should be the leader of the pack. And he's no longer, because I agree that Seals is now the leader of the pack. But it was interesting to see him. And one of the things I detected is that he adjusted his length. Because I think one thing he has been guilty of in all formats is bowling too short and not using the short ball as a surprise. But anyhow, let me hear your perspective.
I would admit I didn't really see much of the Leeward Islands game. That game really didn't have no juice for me. I more looked the games I looked at, just Vincent come in. I looked at the Guyana game, obviously, and I looked at a bit of the Jamaica game because I wanted to see John Campbell bat.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I am one of those who would
And he hasn't disappointed you.
for John Campbell to return. Because Louis don't impress me.
Yeah.
He don't impress me. And also the other thing why I like watching Jamaica when Campbell is playing as a captain, in my opinion, he's the best captain in the region. You could tactically, that I'm talking from a tactical perspective, because I'm now wrong a dressing room to know how a person's a leader of men and those kind of things. But from tactically, he's not a captain that sits back and wait for something to happen. He tries to make something happen. And I saw when them little boys looked like they was gonna win the game, with Tuckett and the spinner, the two of them was batting, brought it down to 60 runs to go. And I said, look. I said, wait, by them, they'll like a beat Jamaica. And then Campbell he changed the bowler and they got the wicket. And then the next thing Campbell did, he took himself out of first slip, went at mid-wicket. And even the commentators were criticizing him for that move. Shortly thereafter, the batter makes and push it straight in Campbell's hand. And both the commentators said, well, we were wrong. He saw something that he felt that if he goes into that position, and then the team fell apart and they won the game, So kudos.
You got to learn for catch and slip though, Basil.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, something. That is something that seems to be a skill we don't have at a high level like we used to do. Slip catches.
Well, the pitches.
Because you can't. The one guy I will tell you though, Jason Holder, he is superb in the
yes.
He is superb in the slips, Jason Holder.
He is.
Right?
He is.
Jason Holder is probably one of the only guys of today's generation that I could talk about in the halcyon days that would be comparable to them guys from the halcyon days, Jason Holder. When Jason Holder drop a catch, it's like, what? He dropped that? Because how reliable he is. And because how tall he is, he got so much range as a slipper.
But again, we get back to the fundamentals. Mm-hmm. I look at some of these guys. They're in slips. And of course, in our days, used to teach us, we used to use that crib and stuff like that. But but the point is where you are. And I look at these just like the wicketkeepers. When you're at slip, you cannot get up early.
No.
You've got to stay down and wait to see it. And I saw that same Campbell, he dropped a catch his left arm. But he was already up and had to go down back. Yep. You got to stay down. You got to drill that in your head. And that's what practice comes in, like in the afternoons. Father used to get all we right close to the bat and he hitting it hard. You had to stay down. You could, get up and then go down back. But those are kind of fundamental. But you're right, Holder, he just remind me of Clive. There's making it easy, But no, in terms of Alzarri, I think he's going to be okay. I think, and I'm glad because now I think we've got a good 3-prong in the two Joseph, at least for the next 2 tests. I got to see how Joseph Shamar really can, he's in and out. So in this next series against Australia, that's going to tell us a lot. But we've got obviously Seals, Shamar, Alzarri without question, and let me tell you, Holder is back in that team.
I don't see how Roach is going to fit in that team.
Holder is back in that team. I don't see how Roach is. Holder got to be back in that team. I believe he's going to play in front of Roach.
Yeah. I will play. I do not.
I really don't see why how both of them will play, but you never know. They could definitely both play.
Basa can tell you, Roach is a West Indies. Roach got the more early wickets, right? Basa.
Yeah. He is a homemade bread, man. He's a homemade bread. Yes. Roach. When you look at Roach stats, home and abroad, it is stark. It's stark. That's why I don't rate him as despite the number of wickets he got as a top fast bowler, because the good players are the ones who are able to go and perform away from the conditions that they know so well. That's where that to me, that's a key criteria in assessing who you call good or great players. Is when they go away from home in conditions at foreign and they still could do the business. That's when you know you're talking about big time players.
I can't see in the team in front of.
Hold
it back.
I believe though, Vincent, they Roach is such a favorite of the captain. I know the captain gonna insist to Mr. Sammy, you gotta put Roach, right? I believe this is what I believe that, and others have echoed similar thoughts. Roach got 284 wickets. He wants to get to 300. You know, are we gonna let him get to 300? Is this right? I mean, you know, and stifling maybe a younger player to start it, because are we gonna look long term or a little short term thing to, you know, afford? This is where conversation have to be had. Roach, this is you want to get 300 here. We giving you a blocker test, and now these days we're not playing a lot of test cricket anymore. You know, so that 60 wickets could take take a few years.
Could take about 4 or 5 games.
Speaking about wickets, guys, let me ask you: this guy, I know Warkan will play, but where? Tell me where did this Pierre guy came? But he's never had a season like this. Pierre.
No, Pierre. Well, Pierre. There we go in the Pierre. I mean, he had some phenomenal first up games,
but he slowed down.
Yeah, and since then, and this is where I wanted to see, because this is where we know whether you're really a top class spinner. When you could be able to bowl in the conditions like at Kensington as a spinner, that pitch that was there for this game, and more than hold your own and do it and hold your own. That's where, because those are the kind of good wickets you're going to see more in Test cricket than these things that help you in our first class cricket. And that's one of the reasons why many of our spinners don't develop, because they only got to just throw up the ball and the wicket can do all the rest for them. They ain't got to bowl and hit their lengths and lines consistently using their guile, whether it's in flight or vary of pace or different change deliveries, at good batters who could sweep, who could use their feet, unlike our batters. Because sweep shot is not a shot. You look at it, you look, Dr. Hines, how many guys have you seen sweeping much in our first class cricket?
Not very.
Exactly.
Or use their feet.
Exactly. You don't, one guy I could talk right now is Mr. Campbell. Campbell is do both. He's do both of them. Use his feet and sweep both ways. He got all kind of fancy sweep. Sometimes I said, Mr. Campbell, ease up, right? Sometimes he got so much thing in the armor. But Heinzie, Dr. Hines, I want to ask you and Vincent, what y'all think is Ateneo is going to make this test team?
No, I said no. I said no.
No.
I said no.
No.
No, you don't know what's gonna happen for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
you got 2 more matches.
Yeah,
you got 2 more matches.
But I can't see him to redeem himself, because
I think that brother has technique problems.
Well,
he doesn't know where his off stump is.
A lot of them, yep.
He sweeps, but he's not judicious.
Yeah, he likes sweeping.
He's just impulsive sweeper rather than putting thought into into the shot.
And what about Hodge? You think Hodge?
No, I don't. I think Hodge has fallen.
So then the Silver, you think, could get into the team as just a batsman?
Yes, no.
Because Imlak is the keeper.
Imlak is the keeper.
Imlak is a keeper.
Imlak is going to be at number 7.
Right. Yes.
I see Chase coming and batting at 6. There is, and if you compare a 4-pronged pace attack, there's no place to Warrican. Right?
No.
Unless you get a
sprint friendly. Warrican will play. Warrican will play the first day. Yeah.
Well, if Warrican play, you play a 4-pronged
Kensington, Vincent. Kensington is
I don't think so.
You know.
I think they're going to play. Remember Kensington, that wicket that we saw, that wicket that we saw is not the same wicket gonna play at Kensington. You know, what we saw in this game.
Well, here,
One St. Vincent, are you playing chase? If you play chase,
well, that's
then-
that. Yeah.
then there's no
if
place
there's
for
place,
Warwick.
there's no need for Warwican. There's no
But
need
if you
for
play
Warwican.
chess, remember play chess. Well, here's because you remember you got the four seamer, but Holder is a batsman. I can play Holder.
I don't think
Well,
that's why
well,
over,
if you
I
play
will put
Holder,
over 6.
so
No,
because
not a
if-
six. When I says a batsman, you could regard him as a when it's a long tail or not. He's gonna help out the batting. So I would play Holder and Chase to me.
Yes, I'm playing old and chase.
Yeah,
And I
I'm
would
playing
play
chase
Warwick
at
with them.
6. Chase at 6, Imlach at 7, and the 4 fast bowlers.
Yes. Is the
And
batting where
Campbell and the captain.
yeah,
both
because I will have Campbell and the captain.
Campbell and the captain. So the 3, 4, and 5.
Chase would be one of them.
Yes. Chase, I would bat.
Chase
I would
would
bat
be
at
about
6.
5 because Holder can bat 6, right?
Right.
And then you gotta find 2 other players, right?
guys,
You
I
got
think those 2 little boys,
unless
we,
you guys, unless
our
you
boy
guys
from
know something,
Guyana,
unless you guys,
Anderson,
who
and the little boy from Antigua.
no. We ain't ready for that yet.
Oh,
No.
wait, Jason Mohammed and playing Test cricket tomorrow?
Yeah, but Jason
I
Jason has fallen away since those
Guys,
300s.
I don't care. Jason got over plenty more
Yeah,
runs
he's
than all of
the
them.
leading scorer. He got 5-9.
And who knows if he comes back again
Well, we got 2
and
more
makes some
games.
more runs?
Yeah,
He can't leave you out. The
we
man
got
got
2 more games.
400.
Yeah, we got 2 more
He's
games.
averaging over 100. No, he got 400.
No. We
300.
got a double
300.
and 2 centuries.
Three, yeah, a double. Right. I forgot.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that this because the fluidity of because our middle order batters who are in the test team, they have not come to the fore in this first class season, right? So it opens the gate for other guys to put their hands up. They got 2 more rungs to go.
They
Right?
got 2 more runs to go.
So these all of those incumbent test batsmen,
That's right.
they have 2 more chances to say, I'm still here because Athenaeus and Hodge, the 2 of them are doing nothing.
No.
And don't forget Drakes. Drakes is in the mix there too, you know.
Yeah, Drakes is in the
Drakes
mix.
got his same amount of runs as Campbell. They got 200 together.
Yes,
They
yes,
got-
yes,
So don't forget Drakes. They might want to
Yes.
give him a try.
yes. I mean, this against Australia, this will be very interesting because I know one thing: Australia come with blood in their eye.
Yep.
Because number one, West Indies, the last time they played against each other, we beat them. And you know them Australians don't forget them kind of things. And number 2, that would be the start of the new test championship cycle. So those test matches are gonna count. You know, it's not like what we were in Pakistan there the other day. That ain't really come towards changing the really anything much in terms of test championship. But this is the start of a new cycle. So Australia come in hunting.
Is
So
Anderson in the mix?
who Anderson?
I don't
Robert
think
Anderson.
Anderson.
Oh,
Let
yeah.
me see, make 100. Let me
No.
say, he got to make some more runs.
I still no, but Vincent, I still want to see because remember South Africa A team is coming April, May.
Yeah.
Anderson, those guys I want to see them play A team, and you know
I
South
agree.
Africa gonna come with a strong A team.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I'm not looking. Same thing with the same guy, Joel Andrew, that you talk about. I want to see him play in that A team too.
I agree.
I'm not looking at him yet at the test level. Let me see what we can do in the A team.
I agree. I totally agree with that. The same thing with Andrew. And that boy is so talented. But you got to make 100.
Yeah.
You got to
he made 100 against the worst team, CCC.
That's right. You got. You just can't go in and you got to. When you get away, it's not 50s. You gotta keep going.
I mean, and this A team, I think. I mean, the guy got pace. Guy from Jamaica, OJ Shields. He got good pace, but at times he's too wild, man. So a guy like that, we need to, because when you got pace like that, we got to try see if we can harness it where he could be more accurate. The A team series would be something to test, let him get a chance. I don't know how our boy from Guyana, Mr. Thorne, he has been out for a minute. I
Yeah,
know if he's
yeah.
going to be a guy that you want to put in the mix there in that A team setup to get a gauge as to where he is as a bowler and what he needs to do to get to improve, move forward, and so on. You know, I mean, that's why you talked earlier about Alzarri, and I often like to tell people I usually do a comparative analysis between Alzarri and my boy Rabada from South Africa, because the two of them came up in the same trajectory. Rabada dominated that time in the Under-19 World Cup, and today Rabada is an all-time great fast bowler. Alzarri dominated 2 years later, and we're still talking at times about Alzarri's potential. Albeit Alzarri suffered 2 serious injuries. He had to have back surgery because he had stress fracture, and then when he dive in for ball in the IPL. The first game he played, diving for. And when he dived, I was like, Alzarri, are you mad? You a fast bowler. This is a business decision. 4 runs, buddy. You know what I mean?
But Basil, you know me, right?
Yeah.
I just look beyond the boundary. Alzarri, it has a lot to do with your attitude.
Oh,
okay?
I agree with that. I agree
And
with you.
so even if somebody has a good attitude with talent, they're gonna excel. I did not know much about Alzarri, just for when he walked off the field, I knew why he has a problem that he cannot get to his potential limit. That's an attitude to me. We gotta go back and talk about that own boy. Look at the boy from Cumberland.
The man from Cumberland. Doc laughing. Hey, Doc, how come you would send the man a telegram and say what about he torn up for Guyana, man? Oh gosh. The people like you want to see the man in his fights.
I hang it in with a little.
I was like I was teasing my Hetmeyer friend, my Hetmeyer fan friends, you know. I said my send a telegram to the big Hetmeyer man, let him turn up in the whites, man. Play for Guyana, let the people. He don't know how much he just make people like that. Your heart would be bleeding with joy for seeing Hetmeyer rock out of you know. I don't think this boy seems to understand how much people emotionally tie up with him. You see, with the IPL coming up, you should see how all of them coming, all of them excited and giddy because he hit my again with a bat in his hand. My one, I was looking for it. I was hoping that he would have played some games again in the first class. I'm disappointed that he didn't make himself available.
Yeah, but I can bet both of y'all. Whatever when I keep it up. Both Chase and Warrican will play in that test series.
Let me see what the mix is. What when I see Alzarri,
they never drop Warrican because of that last year. You can't do that. He has to play.
No. I am not saying dropping him. I mean,
no. I think we gotta look at horses for courses.
Basil, he will play. Trust me.
But if he plays, anyhow, we'll see. We'll see what the mix of the team. But I was laughing about our boy in Cumberland. Anyhow.
He had to play for sure.
I know. Who do you all think Sammy is referring to when he talk about? He said one D show person.
I think he's talking about Sharfin Rutherford.
You think so?
Yeah.
I thought he was.
But where is Sharfin?
I think he's in New York.
If Sammy talking about,
look. I was disappointed too with Mr. Sharfin Rutherford that he was not making himself available playing his first class games. I was disappointed.
That man is in the form of his life, and I say he would have made himself available.
Yeah, I was very disappointed when I heard he was not available. You know, I was very disappointed when he was not available because I was looking forward to see if some of that ODI form would translate into the first class, but it was not to be. Shepard, similarly, he in play. But I guess all of those guys are keeping themselves in the proverbial cotton wool for the IPL.
But you know who I was thinking, Basil and Dr. Heinz? I was thinking it was our boy from Trinidad,
Mr.
Puran.
Brand.
I was thinking Puran.
No, when Puran
Nah,
sees
nah.
people, Puran turn
Yeah.
up and play some club match in Trinidad in the white clothes, you know, the red ball match, you know. And look, I was not expecting Puran. You know why? Puran don't even turn up to play ODI for West Indies.
ODI.
He got play white ball, red ball cricket for Trinidad, you know. But but again, too, in my view, I would like to see Puran, because
I too.
all of those people who say that, because I got a friend, me and he just go back and forth on this, that Puran, the Hetmyers, the Shea Hoops, and all of them white ball cricketers, West Indies could pick them because other countries, and he rattled off a bunch of names to me, right? So I said, all right, let me check. Let me go and do my research on all these names. And when I check, and I came back to him, I said, look, my friend, all these guys you pointed out to me play a lot of first-class cricket. Even he gave me a name like Finch, Australia. Remember Finch played mainly ODI and T20. He had a couple test matches. But even though he was not in the test team, Finch was playing Sheffield Shield cricket, first-class cricket. He was still playing first-class cricket alongside he was a white ball, playing predominantly white ball cricket, and it was and other players, as I was going through them, I come back to you and I give you the whole list of them, how much first class these guys are playing. It's not the same like Puran or Hetmyer or one of them. And everybody like to say our best players. And I always ask them the question, how and what metric are you saying these guys are the best players, right? Because they've been, some of them have been successful in white ball. Shea Hope, obviously, but I would remind people, when Shea Hope was making all them runs in white ball, he was failing in Test cricket at the same time, right? People seem to forget he was averaging 50 in white ball cricket, ODI, and at the same time having 20-something in Test cricket. Right?
But like, that's one thing that I still can't get over. In this man's first test match, was it the first or second he played in England? Of all,
no, his first series in England.
In England, your first, and you're gonna make a twin 100 in England, and you do not.
That's heavenly.
I don't understand that.
That it has never been done in the history of Test.
I don't understand that.
Yeah, I mean, it's something hard to understand, but for example, the way he got out in the second inning, the field placement, these are the little nuances where you see when people you're looking at ODI cricket versus Test cricket. It was around the 40th over the Trinidad inning, but how the field was set on the offside, I don't think in one-day cricket at the 40th over, the guy who took the catch, that guy would have been a sweeper. So that ball went up in the air, would have been going in the open space to Shea Hope. Unlike in the red ball, the silver was attacking, the Ma was in attacking position. So that miscue went to hand. Right? So similarly, in the red ball game, the ball moves more. It don't stay one place easier like the white ball does. The white ball might move early in the inning, but it doesn't. The red ball moves all game. And thirdly, you got 3 slips and a gully waiting behind. Many times we've seen in one-day cricket, edge a ball, they ain't got nobody there for catch.
Yes.
But in the test match, you're back in the pavilion. Those are the things. That's why I tell people like Hetmyer, people like Puran will struggle in Test cricket, because how many times we see them get nicked off, but nobody is there.
I agree, Basil. You develop bad habits. And Vincent,
if you saw Shea Hope batting he played some one-day shots,
Yeah,
T20 like shots,
yeah.
right? Even the one he got out, the bat was away from his body, and you know this, Vincent, in the red ball cricket, the premium is getting as close to the ball as possible.
Right.
Because you're giving yourself more of a chance. Because remember, if that ball move and you fall further away from the ball, they're gonna edge. But if you're closer, you got a better chance. Because I always remind people, the bat is only 4 inches wide.
Yeah.
You know, so any movement, you gone. You know?
I have heard Fazil Mohammed, who I respect a lot. And he is a Puran fan. He said Puran with 3 steps and a gully
Oh God, he gone.
would not last
He
the
gone.
first 10 overs in a test match. He dismissed Puran.
Yes. because how many times we see Puran batting? There's no foot, it's all hands.
Yeah, I agree. But
Yes.
again, it's because of the bad habits. I remember when I see Puran before white ball cricket. I saw him when they went to England when he was just a wicket keeper. And I said, this boy here is gonna be
in the World Cup. In the World
Cup.
In the World
I
Cup.
said, this boy,
Oh, yeah.
and he came back, he was playing. But then this white ball cricket has developed it in
The T20 particularly. The
Yeah,
T20.
But guys, how about the biggest disappointment, and he's really hurting the West Indies, is Brathwaite. Brathwaite, I mean, he's been around for such a long time. He's got the temperament, and he's getting out one way, and I think everybody has figured him out. All you got to do, bring the ball into him all the time. That gap between his bat and pat. And if you notice, every time he gets bowled on is when he's pushing it. Instead of playing a defensive, he's pushing, and then the ball just comes. How many times I've seen him get out like that?
You know something, Vincent? I am starting to wonder, because as you bring up Brathwaite getting out like that, that's an obvious technical flaw that he has been unable to correct. Shea Hope is the same thing too.
Yeah.
When the ball, you keep bowling straight at Shea Hope and bringing that ball back, sooner or later you're gonna get him. You're gonna get him.
You know who took Basil? Your boy. I didn't see it this last time. Campbell. Campbell with the same thing. You pushing out, and the ball, as long as you bring it back in, he gets bowled on.
I was disappointed with Campbell because when the Jamaica played Barbados, this was a game I wanted to see Campbell because he was facing up against the test bowler in Roach. And we know Roach is eat left-handers for lunch, dinner, and breakfast. So I wanted to see him up against one of the better seamers in world cricket bowling to left-handers. And he failed the test. I was disappointed because you see a lot of time when you're picking guys, I always extrapolate to the next level. I look at a guy and I look at his skill, and I look in and say to myself, does this translate to facing up Stark and Cummins?
How did he get out to Roach? I didn't see it.
He got nicked off.
Nicked off.
Both innings he got nicked off.
Hold that bit.
Both innings he got nicked off.
Hold that bit.
Both innings he got nicked off. So that's why I was very disappointed with his performance against Barbados. You know, but I think from a West Indian point of view, he compliments Brathwaite way more than any of the other players that
I agree with that. And
he could take a lot of pressure off of Brathwaite because he could score. He is a free scoring batter. The other openers that we got in the mix, none of them are like that. So we watch two guys, a team is able to put pressure on pressure, and we want a guy who could turn it back on them. And he got that skill set. Now the thing is he gonna be able to do it consistently? That remains to be seen.
I want to throw a name in the mix here because I took a good look at him. And he has not been making the kind of runs that will think, but I look at his technique and its temperament. Savory.
Oh, Savory.
Savory.
I mean, Savory is a decent batter. He's a decent player, I think what I'm impressed with Savory, I'll say this, is that to me, I've seen him play in the what we call the Jones Cup in Ghana. I seen him, right? And to me, when he goes up to the Ghana level, he seems to be a better player in my eyes when he's playing for Guyana than what I see when he plays the local cricket, which is a good thing. He's showing me that at the next level he can compete well. I think he's a decent player, but West Indies, international cricket, that's another thing. A guy like Savory too is a guy would give him a look in the A team to see, because to see if he has the tools, because especially when we playing against A teams like South Africa, where
the reason I mention him is that he doesn't nick off very often. He's a left-hander, and left-handers tend to. He doesn't nick off very. He knows where he's off.
He gets closer to the ball. He does get
there we go. And that is what. I took a look at even this 49 that he made, and he was batting with Imlach. And I looked at him and I said, this boy is not exhibiting the bad habits outside the off. He gets close to the ball.
He's a relative. I would call him. He's a solid player, and I want to see him. I want to see him on the A team to see if he could step up to that level and compete, because I know because I follow South Africa cricket semi closely. And I know the South Africa, the A team that come in here, you got a lot of fringe guys on the A team, right? So men looking to step up, and so they can be a competitive team, and so that would from a West Indian perspective, I want to see if some of these guys got what it takes.
And a good bowling attack.
Against a competitive bowling attack, a bowling attack that would be stronger than anything they would have seen in their first class competitions. Guyana yet to play Trinidad, right? We ain't played Trinidad yet.
No, I think Trinidad is our last match, which is shaping up to be a virtual final.
Yeah, because the thing I'm worried about is Seals going to still be in the West Indies, because Seals got a county contract.
Yes.
Right? Would he have left to go to England yet? I hope not.
I hope
not.
I
want to see our Guyanese batters go up against the Trinidad pace attack. I really want to see that. And I would hope the wicket, which is Trinidad, be playing them. And I hope they could get some kind of
spice,
little lively wicket.
No, but Savory, I'm like Basil. I think Savory is a solid player. And like Basil said, I think he's right. He's got the temperament, because if you're playing, let's say, Shells, at the you play for Ghana in the Caribbean Championship, and you appear to be batting better than when you play local cricket in the country. That tells me it's mental. He's got the temperament, and he's not doing bad. The guy's averaging. I think he's averaging over 50.
Yeah, because it was unfortunate for him. The game that he captained the team, he out for 99 in that game.
Yeah. And then he out to 49 here.
Last year he made his maiden 100.
A big 100.
What I watched about him, he has come into bat at times where Guyana was in a semi-crisis.
That's exactly correct.
He has stayed and waited us out of the crisis. Those little nuances I like to see, how a batter is going to bat under pressure, because that's the only kind of semblance you could say to the next level. So if you see a guy could handle the pressure, absorb the pressure and score, it says something. This guy look like he take off the box to get a shot to play at the next level.
He's averaging 54. He's averaging 54.
Yeah, right. And what is forgotten is that he's really an opening batsman by trade. He's an opening batter, right?
That's to bat down the order.
He has to bat down the order because of Chanterpaul and Nandu up there.
He's doing well. He's the back.
Basil, last week, Doc and I were trying to figure out what's gone wrong with your boy Sinclair.
I think I mean, they've been Sinclair. I don't know if there's some off-field things that affected his focus. I don't know if that is there. His bowling, he's not seen in the Ghana team anymore, at least right now, as one of the go-to guys to bowl, right? And then with the bat, this season he hasn't stepped up to the plate at all. At all.
99 runs in about 5 innings. Or 6.
He hasn't stepped up to the plate at all. So is it a situation where he has hit his ceiling, or there are other issues that is scuttling his focus? Vincent could tell you, when you go out there to play, you gotta be of a clear mind.
Absolutely.
You can't got nothing else on your mind when you go there to bat. Your mind focus is see ball and make a decision. Nothing else. If anything else clutter in your mind, you're gonna find yourself a lot of times in two minds. Should I go forward? Should I leave? This blah blah. And next year, catch yourself back in the pavilion.
And we used to do, we used to try all kinds of things. One of the most famous things that we used to try is chewing bubble gum.
Yeah.
You chew it because it keeps everything else out. That's what you used to think anyway.
Right. You gotta try anything.
Whether it works or not, but it's to do exactly what Basil said. It's to blank everything out. So no, but I believe again, I don't know the guy, so I'm not casting aspersions or anything, but I've seen him in a few antics on the field.
Yeah, he's got himself in trouble.
And that is not that's so when you become a superstar and that type, even then it's not acceptable. But you just coming up trying to make a name, that's not the kind of behavior that you would expect from somebody when
it's interesting. Vincent, I was listening to interview with a couple West Indian current players. I know the questions they're asking, what's their favorite this and so on. One question was, who is the loudest guy in the West Indies team? All of them, and all three of them, of course, Sinclair.
Yeah, you see, and that's not a reputation that you want. When you become a star, when you become a superstar, all of that, people look by it, but that's not a reputation that you want.
Yeah,
because he's really the incumbent for that number 6, 7 spot that Chase is vying for. He's the incumbent.
I'll tell you this. I have been asking the question to my Bajan friends. Is it where Chase said he wasn't available, like for example to Pakistan? This last thing, but then I realized Chase was in Dubai playing in one of them teams, the T20. So obviously that's why he didn't wasn't probably available to go to Pakistan, because I was imagining Chase bowling and them two spinning wickets in Pakistan. I have Sinclair to get him ball to turn like
right
in Pakistan, and he's not a guy that really turns the ball much. And Chase with his height and bounce and turn, he would have
caused. He's a classical off spinner.
Yes, he would have caused plenty problems for them Pakistani batters, But I mean, Sinclair, hopefully he will take these 2 weeks to see he can recalibrate himself. Look, I always remember I had the privilege we were doing a high performance coaching seminar, and Kumar Sangakkara came in and spoke about batting, and to sit down and listen to this guy talk about batting for nearly an hour. It is an experience I will never forget. And the same thing he said to us, when somebody is out of form, more times than not, is because your mind is cluttered when you go to the bat. It's not technical. He said when it's technical is when you're getting out the same way.
Yeah.
Right? That's when it's a technical flaw. But he said more times than not, is because you're not of a clear mind when you go out there to bat. So is Sinclair mind right now? Is it cluttered or is he fully? And that's something he got to figure out if that's the case. You know, because here's a guy gone from last year making 400 odd runs, and now he can't scratch. You know, he can't scratch his surface.
And I just, you know, my favorite tune, as I always say, when you get to that level, probably 99% of it is mental.
Oh yes.
It's mental. And a lot of times all it takes is that one big score to get you back into giving that confidence.
That's
It's
so
mental.
True. Yeah,
mental.
confidence, because you would hear a lot of guys would say when they got into test cricket, it was until they got their first score, they had the self-belief that they belong.
Yeah.
Because part of this is believing you belong.
Yes.
Right? And if you don't have that self-belief, that could affect you big time. You know, the same Kumar Sangakkara said that. Sangakkara said he made a 90-something, I think, against South Africa. And he says until he made that 90-something, that's when for the first time in his career, and you know, he just started, you know, it wasn't long in his test career. That's when the first time when he believed that he belonged in test cricket. Although he had played maybe 8 or 9 matches before. It was when he made that score that he said, that's when I believed and from there it just took off.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen.
Doc, I can't leave without Basil telling the story, that T-shirt that he's wearing.
Oh yes, this was the DCC's 90th anniversary in the year 2002. That's why I said Mother Griffith made.
No, Basil got to tell him the story with me, man.
Oh yeah. What Vincent didn't pick up a bat.
In 23 years. 23 years.
And they had a series of matches, veterans playing them youngsters, and he got a bat. And he bat good, got him by.
I meant for something if you see.
He bat good.
Doc, it's nothing if I never stop playing. The ball is in the middle if you see drives.
At times, the test matching started because it was the same time India come down.
That's right, yeah.
That's what all we went on for. The DCC decided to have the 90th anniversary coincide with the test match. Well, you know, the first day of the test match, I see coming walking up the pavilion stairs. You better hold it up for the stairs. There we go. So when he walking, I said, "What you, buddy?" Me whole skin out in me, buddy. The man was sore for the entire test match.
Here, Doc, you see the night when I go home after making a fire, so you see the night I could walk. I couldn't even come out of the hotel for God take dinner. I could not walk.
That might ask you, hey, you know, we got another veteran. I said, me? Hey, let me tell you, Dr. Hines. You see, when guys is arguing, you know, when they used to have the fitness thing, you know, Hetmeyer struggling to making fitness tests and so on. Some of his fans and me used to get debates who would say, what I got to do with batting? And what Vincent just talked about there is a classic example. When people just think batting, don't think. Let me tell you, if you stay out there batting long,
what do you mean?
and you would think, God, look, I remember my father, he was probably in the early 40s then. I think it's around 75. He made a double century against Everest.
All right.
And he come up, me and my brother, turned massage therapist. You know, my line up and make it. And we take Radium B and have the 90 down from head to toe both sides. The man skinned the man. And when he lied in the bed, he come out the bed. He lie down, put on back, he shirts, and lie down and sleep. Guy's skin was sore. You know, so people batting is all the muscles.
All the muscles, yes.
And then you got is the running between. You got to run between the wickets.
Run between the wickets.
Them shot. You know.
Yeah.
But you know the other thing
here. I'm watching a women's game. I watching a women's game, right? Guyana playing, and the girl, the West Indies player, Gajnabi, batting with a youngster named Grimmond. right? And they run a tree. And this is how you could tell the different conditions. Lil Grayman is the one who played the ball, so she wasn't a non-striker at the tree. You see, she stand up like it's nothing happened. Gosh, Abby bend over the bat. Gosh, Abby walk off. You know, you're trying to catch yourself back. Gosh, Abby walk off. Me and my friend Fraser watching and me on the phone. And both we were dead with laughing. So look at Grayman. Look, you could see. That's how you see the conditioning, and people don't understand. That's why when I tell people, when they come and tell me old timers from back in the day couldn't pass yo-yo test, I say, you out of your mind. You see how long these guys used to bat? And I tell guys, me and my brother, even after the over playing cup cricket, he used to go and run in the evenings. And we would run with him. And at his age, we's little boy, he used to reach back. And then me, I come in second, way behind him, and then my other brother way behind, right? So I tell them guys, no, them guys from back in the days would breeze them yo-yo tests.
Yeah, but you know, going back to this technique thing, and that's why this thing about hope puzzles me. I remember that same game, Bassett, when I made the 40 something. I didn't hold a bat for 23 years. So when I go in the pavilion, I think wasn't Wezar the manager of the team? He was there. Wes was there in the pavilion. So I got you, Wes and Lance. So Wes said, wait, Adi is, well, Wes always like me, believe I had the best technique. So Wes said, wait, Adi, it was you, Ben Martin. He said, I gotta draft you in this team in the West. And then he laughed.
No. Wezar was the president of the board, I think, at the time.
Okay. Then he said, but you know one thing? You know what that says? Good technique never leaves you.
Well, that's what they say. Class, and class is permanent.
Yeah. Be watching.
And if you think about it, it's all the hours and hours and hours of practice, your body's in tune.
Your memory.
That's why I tell people. I tell people in me over later years, playing club cricket, he never used to practice, Dr. Hines. Okay. He would come at practice and bowl. He wouldn't bat.
And 100
on Saturday, go and make 100.
100. As I always start this story, batting against Everest one day. That we talking this is, and I get on 65 and get out. And I pass him, Butch. And when he used to bat late, give Bristol, the youngsters. So he must be batting at 6 or something. And I pass in, he coming in, I going out. He said, wait a minute. You don't know for my country? He said, all right, go sit down in the pavilion and watch me make 108 today. It's 140 something you can put for that.
Gentlemen, something I was watching today, and this is just a thought. I'm watching today the West Indies Masters play India Masters. And something struck me is that today, cricket, these guys who have just come off the scene, they have incentive to continue playing at least club cricket. Because these Masters thing, Dr. Hines, that guy getting a very nice small piece.
Yeah.
I say small piece, but not no small piece. Them guys getting a nice thing. So the incentive to just like in the days when Vincent and them used to play with the former players still playing and so on. These guys, this is something West Indian cricketers who just come up should say, bye, let me go and play club cricket with these youngsters.
Yes.
I could pass on my knowledge, keep myself fit, and keep my skills in
and make money
and go and make money with these masters, because you got them all over the world. I worked with a team a year and a half ago. They had a tournament in Florida, and a lot of the who's. I remember meet Callis. I go up to Callis. I said, "Man, I remember you in Guyana, boy. You held us up. We had. Remember we had South Africa to beat the year, and Callis hold me up and make 100 here. Oh, that was a long time ago. You know what I mean? All these players play for India, Pakistan, New Zealand, England. All of these guys playing, and they're getting.
Yeah.
Because remember, these tournaments are televised. So once it's televised, you're getting.
Right. Basil Butcher, and Dr. Vincent Adams, Adi. Thank you all so much for another week. Next week we're going to take a break.
Good.
Because I think the boys are taking a break, and
Right
we're going
on.
to take a break next week, and then we'll come back.
When is the
week
next
after
round? When
next.
is the next game?
I think the 2nd of April.
Yeah, because they got
Because
2
they're
weeks
taking-
off. They got 2
Yeah,
weeks
they're taking
off.
a 2 weeks break. So we played by ear, but certainly
Yeah.
next week we're going to take a break.
Right on.
Right?
Well, that works
Um,
perfect with my schedule because I got a
wonderful.
meeting next week. So I'm glad you'll be taking a break.
Good. All right, and to you, the
Yeah.
audience, thank you all for staying with us. As you all said, that you all like the gaff part of the program, and I too enjoy that because it gives us a chance to really bring the past in line with the present and so forth. So thank you all for staying with us another week. We're gonna be off next week, and most likely we'll be back the following week. But we let you all know a couple of days before. So again, thank you all very much for tuning in to another edition of West Indies Cricket 101.
Rude boys gonna get you by degrees. Here comes the West Indies. And when you're facing the generals, nearly every ball is a funeral. And when we batting, brother, go and put your men on the boundary line. And if you give we a liquor, that is merely a hiccup. Look, you win the little battle, you lose the war. It's the same result every time. Everybody sing. Here comes the West Indies. Here comes the West Indies. Them rude boys gonna